Sean Fennessey.
I'm Amanda Dobbins.
And this is The Big Picture, a conversation show about 1990. CR Chris Ryan is here with us, and we are drafting again. Hi, Chris.
What's going on, guys?
How are you feeling?
I'm doing okay today.
Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Are you ready to speak of your youth?
Oh my God, am I ever? Aren't I always?
Well, let's speak of Matt Damon's youth to start off, because there's a small update on the Odyssey CR today.
Yeah.
Actually, Amanda made us aware of this update.
Sure.
Which is very exciting news, which is that Matt Damon is absolutely yoked out of his mind at the moment. And we're all wondering how.
I think it's just important to aspire to things, and it's important to have evidence that something good can happen. You know what I mean? We had it on Sunday with Rory. We have it today with Matt Damon getting completely yoked. He looks so good. I would honestly, I would trade it all for that body right now.
Trade. Okay. What does all encompass?
You know what? Make me an offer. Honestly, the phone is there. Like, I like making deals. You know?
Right.
So let's go.
How is your workout routine going in 2025?
It's really more about making sure that we carry no injuries into your dreaded golf trip. Like we're
sure.
about
Yeah.
I think Sean and I are both probably past the point where we think we're gonna get built up or get any better at golf before it. It's just about not being like my back already hurts.
Yeah.
Okay.
So like,
are you taking measures?
Yeah, I'm stretching twice a day.
Okay.
15 minutes. Beginner.
Are you following along to a routine, or is it
I
self-directed?
watch a lady, and then like I now have memorized all of the coffee shop trip hop that plays while she
stretches.
Absolutely.
And like the little jokes that she makes, you know?
She's completely silent.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Sometimes when I do repeat workout videos, I'm like, oh, this is when you're going to talk about like the peanut butter and the jam and the grass-fed butter, you know? Like I've heard this before. Okay, so you're stretching, you're walking on the treadmill.
Yeah, and I've started playing golf again.
Did we add incline?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
I don't think that's necessary. I will be walking up hills on golf courses, and I think that will do me just fine for the next month. I'm in the same place as Chris. I'm getting strapped to that bed that Hannibal Lecter is in when they put him in the cage in Silence of the Lambs every night, so that I don't move at night, so that I don't wake up feeling like I've been shot.
So the Damon updates, the photo updates of Matt Damon shirtless on the set of the Odyssey are well timed for you guys. They prove that men of a certain age can achieve muscle tone.
They're carved out of stone.
Yeah.
Yes.
But can they do it the way that I do it? By cutting down trees and lifting logs with my bare hands without any supplemental help. Can they do that?
Yeah.
I don't know. He looks good. He looks alarmingly good given that he's going to be 55 years old in October.
I think what I'm going to do is after this trip and after this last bit of physical exertion, I want to transition fully into John le Carre character whose only physical exercise is a dip in a freezing cold pond to reawaken the senses.
That actually though, then you're just entering like another
senior citizen age. Yeah.
No, I mean senior citizen age, but also like the cryo treatments and all of like
but
the
cryo treatment is just
like,
jumping in Hampstead Pond.
No, yeah. I know.
Yeah.
But you are taking on anti-aging in a different way.
Right. Sure. George Smiley kind of presaged cold plunge. Is what you're saying. He was ahead of the curve on that one. In addition to being ahead of the curve, Ari Aster has a new movie coming out in July called Eddington. Mm-hmm. There was a teaser for this film this morning. Star-studded cast.
It took me a minute, but that was a good segue. Like I had to catch up to the first phrase, but there you go.
This is what I do. Joaquin Phoenix, Emma Stone, Austin Butler, Pedro Pascal.
Yeah. The
internet. The whole teaser trailer was Joaquin Phoenix's sheriff character, a New Mexico area sheriff, doom scrolling during a pandemic, presumably the COVID-19 pandemic that we can't say for sure. And I thought it was very funny, particularly the one shot of the little girl TikTok dancing with a line that said, "I just finished reading Baldwin's Giovanni."
Really good too.
Which is, I think I'm really hoping that this is just a very acidic, slightly mean-spirited satire making fun of everybody, and I hope it annoys people. That's really what I'm hoping for with this film.
Yeah, I think that it will be very divisive, but I can't wait.
Which side of the line do you think you'll end up on?
Whatever side Austin Butler's televangelist is on, I'm there.
Yeah, strong shades of Tom Cruise and Magnolia from Austin Butler there. Any thoughts on the teaser?
I was amused. And I am I ready for a COVID movie? I guess so.
I think that's the question.
Oh, yeah.
5 years later, and at first I was a little annoyed, but then I was like, okay, it's Ari Aster. And
5 years later, and it's settled science. We've taken care of it. You know,
no problems at all. Yeah, everything's rosy.
Yeah.
Eddington 2 will be the vaccine story, which will be really exciting as well. There have been COVID movies, Locked Down, starring Anne Hathaway and Chiwetel Ejiofor.
We don't know. Eddington could be the name of the pangolin.
And it certainly could be. And you believe that was the cause of the outbreak?
I'm just saying. I mean, it's just like we don't know.
Okay. Any other thoughts in the world of movies? You mentioned Rory McIlroy. We had a fine time together, living and dying and living again with our boy Rory yesterday.
I gotta say, I found that to be more dramatic than any film I've seen in 5 years.
I fully agree.
Let me ask you something. Do you think that the overlap of listeners and people who were watching Rory yesterday is strong enough that you don't need to explain what happened?
I think that there is a strong contingent of Irish Catholic men who, when I say Rory on a podcast, they know who I'm referring to.
I know your bros know, and we were living and dying by it in my house, but I'm just, I'm trying to
Rory
pitch a wider
McIlroy,
tent.
famed Northern Irish golfer, 35 years old, has gone now 14 years without a majors win. He's never won the Masters before. He is seeking the Grand Slam, where he would win all four. The career Grand Slam, where he win all four golf majors. He has come close many times and has been stymied many times. He is a Sisyphusian character. He really is just constantly getting right up to the top and then falling down the hill. And he did it. He did it yesterday.
It was like watching a woman under the influence yesterday. It was just like watching a man fall apart, put himself back together. He cried. He hurt his back. He got slow played to death by Bryson. Yep. It was so much drama.
Also, the energy in the room with the three of you. So you two and my husband watched the whole thing together. I was in charge of childcare along with the women in your lives.
You make it sound like an Amish community.
Yeah. Well,
3 kids. I'm just like 9 adults.
I'm just gonna be real. The division of labor was noted yesterday, but we walked in, I guess, before the playoff, because there was a playoff.
Yeah, we were trying to figure out whether you were going to show up at the exact
I wasn't really worried about it. Your husband was the one who was worried about it.
I know. I tried to get him to take our child to the bathroom at an opportune moment, but the energy of the three of you in the room was deeply horrifying.
Yeah, it's not really what you come to us for.
Yeah, no, and I'm trying to think of a movie experience that is comparable.
The end of Glengarry Glen Ross.
Yeah, I was really thinking of any of yes. Any of the Barry Levinson movies my dad loves so much.
I felt very good about it. I was very happy to have that moment with Chris and Zach. It was very much like watching a movie because of the ups and downs. It really had a 3-act structure where there was an inciting incident on the first hole that was very upsetting. Yes, there was a kind of epilogue to the story. It's over now. I'm very happy for Rory. I'm very curious to see if he rips off 5 or 6 more majors wins, or if
I'd retire personally.
You would. Interesting.
I would just be like, this is done.
You're in a really a retired state of mind right now.
Well, because I'm thinking about cold plunges and stuff.
Yeah.
I just think if I was Rory, it would be I would take a beat. I would just be like, now it's time to really spend time.
He is only 35
with Poppy,
so
it's old for golf.
I gotta say, when he hugged his daughter, I was like, this is it, man.
Yeah,
this is it.
I felt that way when he hugged his agent. I was just like, you love to see representation crossover into the personal.
It really does
That's
matter.
how I feel about my team. All my guys.
Bob, I know you're not a supporter of the PGA. Unfortunately, one of your key flaws.
No, because
did you watch the Masters?
Team Live.
No, I'm not. I'm Team Live. That's right. No, I just never gotten into golf, really. I mean, I would find it too frustrating to play personally because I blame too many things on myself, and I just couldn't get over that hurdle, number one. And number two, the
whole thing is you have a bad swing, and then you blame the planet Earth for being shaped the way it is.
Or the club.
Yeah.
I was under the impression that you have a bad swing and then you go to YouTube and get red pilled by 18 different guys for 40 hours straight.
I can neither confirm nor deny what I watch on YouTube.
That was Chris roughly 2013 through present. Is your YouTube pilling because of golf? Is that really where it started?
Yes.
That's so interesting.
Yeah.
Your Instagram as well?
My Instagram has now become much more diversified, but I think that...
So you have all the women preparing things with AI voiceover. Yeah, I know.
Yeah. What are those women wearing?
No, they're never on camera. They're just like, this is what I do after a long day.
Okay.
I hate being in the middle for these.
Fuck. Coming at you from both sides. 1990. Let's talk about it. We're drafting movies from 1990. A fascinating year in many directions. A handful of masterpieces. A very fun year. A ton of movies from great filmmakers, even if they're not the number one movies from those filmmakers. Very interesting time in Hollywood history. Amanda, I'll start with you. 1990. What was cooking in your life in Georgia?
I turned 6 years old.
Wow.
So I was trying to think about like where I actually was. I think that this was in the Coke bottle glasses phase.
Unbelievable.
I don't know if we had gotten to like the page boy haircut yet, but I'll try to find
Whose call was that look? Was that something like, Mom, I want this?
It's hard to say. It might have been mine. Yeah. The glasses were mine. I remember I went to Lynn's Crafters and picked them out. Like, I don't know what to tell you.
These are for me?
These are the ones. Yeah.
But you had there were a lot of like ophthalmological reasons you needed certain glasses.
Oh no, I definitely needed glasses.
Yeah.
This was also my second run with glasses because when I was like 3, my parents both wore glasses, and I said to them, "Hey, I need glasses." Because I wanted to, do what the grown-ups were doing. And so then when I actually did need glasses, I went to them and I said, "Hey, I need glasses," and no one believed me. So I had to like stage an elaborate.
Yeah, the blind girl who cried wolf.
Yeah, there you go. But no, there was like literally I made them give me a home eye test. But then there was
must have been really cool to raise you. It must have been really interesting.
You're getting to look at it every day, buddy. So yeah, dance I would say was a passion.
Oh,
and Nickelodeon and
more modern dance or like hip hop.
I took it all.
Did you?
Well, I guess I didn't take hip hop, sadly.
We know tap. You're
tap
a gifted
for sure.
tap dancer.
Definitely modern dance because I studied with Lee Vason, who was our family friend, but also a modern dancer. She danced with Alvin Ailey.
Wow.
And so she taught modern as well.
Must
and then
be nice.
Some ballet. Yeah, there you go.
I think of you as a good dancer, but not like a frequent dancer.
That's because we don't go out anymore. You know, like you didn't come to Vegas, so we didn't hit the club.
Oh, do you think I would have?
That's not why we didn't hit the club. Okay. Amanda has helped teach my daughter how to dance.
Yeah.
Very, very gifted. 1990. What was going on with you?
13, turning 13, really into the burgeoning native tongues movement in rap.
Mm-hmm.
So I had that going for me. A moment where I think a bunch of different parts of pop culture were like lining up, where like I was going to see Spike Lee movies and listening to Tribe. And so that was like a very like exciting and formative time, like just outside of a movie theater. The crazy thing about this is like, I can't remember how many of these I saw in the movies, but going through the list of films released this year was pretty easy to be like, I remember 65 of these. And I can't remember how many of them are just like, oh, and then I watched Tremors 700 times over 5 years. But this is like a real vertebrae in my movie watching life is 1990. I don't have like we can get into like the bat mitzvahs that I attended if you wanted to. Like,
please.
Memorable themes, go.
I don't remember themes. I remember Parker Lewis Can't Lose was a big fashion influence on guys back then. So the rayon shirts buttoned all the way up.
Did you have a kind of a hair energy in that direction too?
Once upon a time. Yeah.
At that time, you had kind of a coronemic color.
I used to rock, what was the Aussie? Remember the Aussie kind of shampoo?
Oh, like the purple with the pink. Yeah, no, I know what you're talking about.
And so they had a hair gel that was real popular on Mousse,
Mousse?
Yeah.
No kidding.
And then...
You were looking for volume.
Sure.
You're not using a mousse now?
No.
What is it?
No. It's
pomade?
just the teak, the Japanese teak. It's like a very...
Oh, like
a
sort of like a wax.
Do you think that's going to go up in price pretty soon?
Because of the tariffs. It's actually, there's just a teak tariff that has been issued recently,
Trump
which is
might
unfortunate.
Exempt that. He might be like, I need that,
I think he's au naturel at this point, right?
You don't think he uses any product?
I think it's a rug, right? So
Trump?
No,
I thought Trump had like one strand of hair that he has had like grows like longer than like Crystal Gale and then like wraps it around a bunch of times. But that could be wrong.
Could be that.
That's it. That's
You should keep talking about it.
What, am I going to get disappeared?
Maybe, I don't
Pam
know.
Bondi, if you have a problem with me speculating about Trump's hair.
Wow. You're invoking her name.
Sure. Yeah.
What about Christy Nome? Where are you at on her right now?
I'm more focused on Pam. She seems like
That's the one who shot her dog?
Christy did.
Yeah. And then I'm other things.
Yeah.
Very JMO coded episode so far.
Sure.
This is the power of Eddington.
Truly, Ari's got us spun.
To his point about having seen just like a very high count of watched movies this year, I felt that way as well. And again, I was like 5 turning 6. So I wasn't like seeing all of these movies in theaters. Yeah. But for whatever reason, a lot of them crept into the, I guess, like now I'm 10 and someone's going to show this to me or I'll rewatch it.
I've been listening to all of your State of Cinema pods over the last couple of weeks, coming out of CinemaCon and out of Minecraft's Triumph and everything else.
Still cooking this past weekend.
Were you there?
I didn't attend again. That would have been a ludicrous venture, but it made a lot of money.
And one of the things that really jumped out at me was just talking about like the need for volume, the need for like filling the shelves.
Yeah.
And this is why. Like if you look at this movie year, there is so much of like a multiplicity of experiences you could have had. Obviously, we can get into whether or not they were making movies more for adults back then, and there was something to like kind of, if you were a kid, aspire to. But the thing that just blows my mind is just the sheer amount of movies released this year and how great that is for a thriving cinema culture to have like so much optionality and so many things that can have like revivals and go through like kind of different eras of its appreciation and fandom of it.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. I was 8 years old in 1990, and so for me at this time, Home Alone was Casablanca. It was The Wizard of Oz. It was the most important thing that had ever happened in movies, and everyone went to go see it. You know, Macaulay Culkin is essentially an 8-year-old boy in the movie.
Yeah. You saw yourself.
I recognized mischief, and I said thank you for your work. But that's from a very distinct perspective of an 8-year-old boy who's kind of falling in love with movies.
Right.
But at the same time, there are really a number of totemic movies this year. Some movies that you could argue are kind of the pinnacle of the kind of movie that they are. They'll get drafted, I'm sure, and we'll talk about them at length here. But just looking like 4 or 5 movies here that are strictly movies from my parents that I know that they went and saw opening weekend and that seemed like they dominated their lives, that sort of like launched people or reignited people's careers or, I don't know, created just like a really incredible energy around them. And then the other thing that I noticed, and I added this as a category this morning because there's a number of sequels this year, some of which are very interesting, some of which are very much cash-ins. And the balance between the interesting ones, the more legacy ones, and the cash-ins is quite fascinating to me. I don't know if I really remember the kind of person that I was when I was 8 years old.
It's kind of hard. Well, she did. She remembered herself at 6.
My interests.
Well, Amanda's always known herself very well.
Yeah,
that's one of her great skills.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Movie-wise, otherwise, the same as all these other years. This is the last year of the 1990s.
For us to draft.
We only have one more year left in the 2000s, which I'm happy to say we'll do in June, and we'll make it a mega draft.
Oh, right.
And then that will be every single year from
we stop drafting.
1990 through 2022 or 2021 we will have drafted from.
And we can do 2022 in December of this year?
That's right.
Okay.
And then...
Which is a rule you knew.
Well, it's over time. We've learned it.
Yeah.
And then what do?
We start doing silent films. We start drafting the works of Murnau.
That honestly sounds great. I would love to do that. Any other thoughts on the year before we get into some of the details? I don't want to give away too... I mean, this is a legendary Oscar year for all the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
Dances with Wolves won Best Picture this year. I'm quite curious to see if Dances with Wolves is drafted today.
Just an astonishing amount of movie stars who are still stars. People who are still on leading films, leading their own TV shows now. Probably speaks to the gentocracy of American culture in general, but I can't believe how many people were like minted in this year and continue to be pretty huge figures. I do think it's interesting to go back and look and see how many projects are being like launched or supported by a star who just obviously has like a real creative itch they want to scratch. And, this is a moment right before, another wave of like the Jurassic Park kind of blockbuster stuff. So you do get films that are, basically being sold on the back of Meryl Streep's participation in them, but is like they're small movies. They're small human stories. So it's a really cool moment in film. It's, like not quite Sundance crazy.
Mhm.
It's sort of like a really awesome Hollywood year.
Yeah, well put. I think the bulk of the films that we talk about today will either be pure Hollywood or there's a really interesting contingent of international movies that are released in this year. A couple of like old masters, a couple of kind of rising voices in European cinema that might get a shout out too. There's also one really big, fat, notable international film that we almost never talk about on the show, but I'll be curious to see if it comes up here today too. Anything else before we set our draft order and talk about categories?
So we're just doing an extra category today of sequels.
7 categories total. We've got our classics: drama, comedy, action, horror, thriller, Oscar nominee. We've added sequel plus blockbuster. I set the threshold at 75 million because in 1991 we set it for 75 million, so that seemed to be around the area where you'd say this movie was a hit. And then wild card. So we've got 14 eligible movies in box office. Pretty interesting collection of Oscar nominees. You really got to go down the
controversial
a little
Oscars
bit.
here.
Mhm.
Yeah, but because of the Best Picture, Best Director win, not the best outcome. Was a very classic Billy Crystal Oscars. I remember this one. I remember watching it as a kid with my parents. I think that's pretty much it. Bob, any reflections on 1990? You were how old?
It was a good old -6. Yeah.
Okay.
Sheesh.
Not
Who
a
won
lot
the World
going
Series
on.
in 90?
I was just wondering about that because I don't.
The Twins won in 91.
Was it the
right?
Reds?
Yeah.
Oh, Eric Davis.
Let's see.
Chris Sabo.
Let's see. It was
How
the
does
Reds.
this podcast
The
always
Reds.
turn into you
Look at
just
that.
like naming Cincinnati Reds teams? Like this is not. It's literally Cincinnati Reds always.
I don't know why I remember that, but boy, I was watching a lot of baseball in 1990.
They
That's
snuck
for
it
sure.
in right between the A's and the Twins. Much more memorable World Series wins.
Yeah,
Look at
this
that.
was Barry Larkin time when he was at the
Yeah.
center
Oh, what
of
a
baseball.
shortstop.
God, he was so
He
cool.
was awesome. Yeah, he fucking
So
rocked.
cool.
You know what the best thing ever when you're podcasting is just saying baseball players' names. That's that's literally the best podcasting you can do. There's nothing.
How the Mets doing?
They're 10-5 and they're in first place.
Okay.
So we actually have not played well at all, and we're in first
In
place
the East.
The NL East.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What happened to the Phils?
They're doing okay.
They're
I've been watching some,
They're
but
doing well.
you know.
It's been fine.
I think it's like I think Phillies fans are having a little bit of like I've watched this like basically this core for several years now, and so maybe they're starting to pick at them a little harder.
Okay.
You're in that phase where they're all in their 30s. All the key guys.
Yeah.
It's tricky. They're still good though. I think the Phillies are going to be it's going to be a hard race. I was asking Chris, are the Braves dead over the weekend?
Yeah.
Hope so.
I hope so too.
Doesn't matter to me.
Yep.
As I've said.
Bob, any early Mets reflections?
Love the Mets. Love this team. Having a lot of fun watching them. I would like to say that I will not be satisfied as a man until the Braves are like 4-40.
Yeah.
And they're 4-11 right now, and that's not good
Even
enough for me.
4-40 would be like dead cat bounce, and like then they have like this crazy good second half of the season.
Acuna goes 70-70. That's I'm really
Profar gets like let out of PED jail, and
Yeah. I would not only like to bury them in the ground, I'd like to like build a monument on top of that burial as well.
It's like nuclear waste. You can't go too far down.
We are aligned.
Pretty much.
Yeah, they are the Chernobyl of Major League Baseball. Okay, let's pivot on to the draft. We have to set a draft order. Robert, can you help us out with that?
Yeah,
Top Gun hat back.
Top Gun hat. There it is, upside down.
I just got really hungry. I should have.
Great timing.
I know.
Eat it? Well, did you have M&Ms?
No,
I
because
have
we're
a
saving
breakfast
those.
bar that I could give you. if
No,
you're
I don't
interested in
need. I don't need bar. Oh, Chris, number one. Interesting.
Yeah, Chris
Okay.
going first.
that. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. We know where that's going.
I haven't
Yeah.
had first in a while, by the way.
That's true. You haven't.
Yeah.
I was thinking about that the other day because I had it a bunch, and then Amanda before me had it a bunch.
I think I know what's going to happen, but potential for a real CR classic. Oh, me second?
Yeah.
Okay.
So next, Amanda
Now I gotta
Dobbins,
work
and
hard
then
here.
Sean.
I'm on the
third.
turn. Intriguing. So, Chris.
Yeah.
First pick here.
Yeah.
They're-
Don't have to think about it.
This should be the easiest pick
Right.
of all time.
I'm gonna right a historical wrong, and I will take Goodfellas and Oscar nom.
Oh.
Yeah.
Very healthy for you.
Delete.
Okay. I had Goodfellas eligible in every category.
So yeah, Goodfellas. You could say Goodfellas is a comedy. You could say Goodfellas is a thriller. You could say Goodfellas is a drama. There's more than one fella. It could be a sequel. You know.
Sure. Yeah, definitely.
No, this is one of my favorite movies ever made. Martin Scorsese's epic, darkly comic look at the rise and fall of the American mob, and We just showed it at Coolidge Corner for the Rewatchables Film Festival. It is still note perfect and amazing and hilarious and terrifying. I wish I had some new insight to give into Goodfellas other than what do you say about one of your favorite movies that you've talked about a lot?
Well, yeah, the fact that you've podcasted about it for like 7 total hours.
Yeah.
Did you see it in 1990?
I saw it on video shortly after that.
Okay.
I did not see it in the theater.
Like with parents, or was it
I
unsanctioned?
think that the parents were adjacent, but I remember this being a really, really, really big deal for my dad. Like he loved this movie.
Nice.
If I could be proven wrong by his review, which might have been like a bit long.
A middling effort from Martin.
Quite profane. But yeah, this is like one of the all-time classics, so it's an easy first pick.
This is an interesting one because if you want to think about it contextually, him losing the Academy Award, both directing and Best Picture, is quite fascinating. You know, Nolan just won Oppenheimer at a very similar time in his career to where Scorsese was when he made Goodfellas. You know, roughly 20 years after he began, and having kind of like scaled the mountain. Nolan has never really had the kind of downfall that Scorsese had, but, you know, kind of pilloried in the press and couldn't get The Last Temptation of Christ made the first time around, and making small movies that didn't do well, King of Comedy being considered a huge flop. And so he has this like comeback narrative with Goodfellas, which is financially successful, critically adored, feels like the apotheosis of this kind of a movie, and he still doesn't win.
Yeah.
And he has to wait another 16 years to win. And obviously, you know, I think I talked about this maybe a little bit on Goodfellas, but just like the New Yorkness of Scorsese and of this movie in particular, I think was sort of held against him at a time when the Oscars were a bit more provincial, I would say.
89 is when Driving Miss Daisy wins over Do the Right Thing, right?
Correct.
And then Dances with Wolves over Goodfellas.
That's a nightmare.
A back-to-back.
Yeah.
It's tough.
Dances with Wolves is an interesting one. I can say maybe my thoughts in general if it comes up again
when
in
you
drafting. It's probably not going to be one I'm going to draft, but it might be. It's one of those. It's not a bad movie. It's not like Driving Miss Daisy where there's something kind of offensive about it. It's actually, in revisiting it for the Horizon conversation, I think pretty sensitive in terms of its depiction of Native people and the story that it's trying to tell. It centers a white guy, obviously, but it's not like offensive in the way that we come to expect from movies like that. It's just not Goodfellas.
Right.
Okay, Amanda.
Okay.
You want to share any Goodfellas thoughts?
I like it very much, and
would
I also
have taken it first overall.
Yes,
okay.
of course.
Oh, you would have.
I mean, come on, because it's.
But that would have meant not getting something that I know is important to you.
Well, I think so. I think if I had had the first pick, I would have done it anyway and hoped that you didn't take revenge on me.
That always goes well for us.
It would have been really hard to turn it down, what I presume you're taking now.
Yeah. I mean, I think so as well. So I will, an Oscar nominee, take Pretty Woman.
Okay.
Yeah. Is that not what you thought I was going to take?
That's what I thought.
That's definitely the movie. I wasn't sure what category.
Yeah. Probably. Well, no. When Harry Met Sally in 1989 is my number one romantic comedy of all time, but I think Pretty Woman might be number 2.
Okay.
It's just perfect. And obviously also launches one of my favorite movie stars, Julia Roberts. Like, seismically, culturally important. Yeah. I don't think that I was allowed to see this in 1990 because, again, it is about a sex worker, as we would now say.
Yeah.
Falling in love.
Go back to whore?
No, I'm not using the terminology of the movie.
Okay.
I'm using the terminology of the present day.
Got it.
I'm not using
Streetwalker. Would that be better?
It's not what
Lady of the Night.
Jason Alexander calls her in the film,
That's
for
right.
example. You know,
I don't remember what he calls her.
I think he just like she's a hooker. You know, like anyway. I was.
What do you think, Chris? You think we should go back?
Okay.
To using those words about no.
Etymologically, you don't think they're more accurate?
Sean Baker points the way.
Okay.
You know?
Good. I agree.
I was internet shopping to avoid the world earlier today, and then there was a brown polka dot dress, and I was like, "Oh, so should I like do the Pretty Woman dress? Should I, is
for
it
this episode?
No, for a wedding that I'm going to.
Oh, okay.
Right.
That's fun.
And it's I don't know whether it'll suit me. And then also it's a wedding of it's a cousin's wedding. Hello, Isaac and Sammy. I'm excited. But they're younger, so I'm like, are they gonna get the reference?
Probably not.
Yeah, that's also what I
thought. They might have other things on their mind that
yes. I meant the other people.
What a deep pull from Amanda.
Wow, did you see Amanda's Pretty Woman dress
I
when we were getting married?
The couple. I meant everybody else at the wedding who's like 23. Okay, you guys are really fun to talk to about this. Pretty Woman is a wonderful film.
It is good. Who directed it? Gary Marshall?
Yes, starring Julia Robertson and Richard Gere.
Gary Marshall never got his Oscar.
You know, he made a couple of classics, Stone Cold classics, and then a lot of movies called like Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
And then like Arbor Day and a bunch of other days.
That was such a strange moment in Hollywood. They were like, we got these holidays sitting right here. How are we not making
free
movies
IP?
about them?
We don't have to pay for this at all.
Isn't Bradley Cooper in one of those?
He is. I believe he's in Valentine's Day. Is he in Valentine's Day?
Yeah. No, they all are. They're terrible.
Gary Marshall, obviously a titan of television, helped develop Happy Days, Laverne and Shirley, a number of other shows. Pretty Woman is good. It's very good. I would have drafted it.
Yeah.
First?
Would you have
not
taken
first? No.
So I have first pick Goodfellas. He takes something else.
Yeah. A boy movie.
And then no. Something that I don't want to say because I don't want to spoil anything. And then you have two picks. Would you have taken Pretty Woman if I had Goodfellas?
I think both from a quality perspective and a strategic perspective.
We haven't had a knife to the heart on one of these drafts in a while.
Got to get Rob back soon. You know, Rob is the one.
Rob does not care.
Rob is the key holder.
Rob came on Jam Session. It was very peaceful and wanted to talk about Girl Bosses going to space.
Were there any competitive elements to that episode of Jam
throw
Session?
That Blue Origin?
No,
mission?
I'm wildly against it.
Okay.
And Yasi and I will be dealing with it on Jam Session tomorrow.
What is the issue?
When all the
Lauren Sanchez and Katy Perry going into space.
And Gail King.
Oh, right. Yeah.
They all went to space.
I was invited.
Glam.
I turned them down.
Okay.
Yeah. I said, no, thank you.
The one guy.
I'm an ally. Even in space, I can be an ally.
What do you guys call prostitutes? Just making small talk here on the landing pad.
Okay.
You get two here, bud.
Two picks.
What kind of damage can you do? The Wrecking Ball.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a big one for you that I don't think I want to take away, that I don't think is necessary to take away at this stage.
Don't be like that.
Because I got to get.
I'm a
But
big
you came
boy.
in here with like a little teardrop in your throat, and I got your back today.
Just my voice is just tired for some reason already, but you don't have to worry about I have the fortitude.
See this right here?
Yeah.
These are wings you can get on top of. I'll fly you all the way home.
Never says that to me, just so you know. Even when he like gives me something, he's like, fine, you can have it. Like a mean.
Maybe if you shared the same vulnerability that Chris showed
I think
me
she's
this
vulnerable.
morning. You know, if you opened up and said, you know, it's been a tough day. What I need from you
She
is
did.
love
She said
and support.
she was shopping to avoid the world.
Yeah, the world.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if I would define that as vulnerability.
Okay.
You were like, I'm on my wedding game, right?
I mean, I do need a dress, but you know, it's fine. I'll get one later.
You didn't find one?
No, I didn't.
What's your first stop?
I mean, this is a real issue with tariffs. I know that like, and a bunch of, I had a lot of, you know, there's like Net-a-Porter and My Teresa and all these places.
Temu.
Yeah, Temu, as you know. And I had a bunch of things saved in my wish list, and many of them disappeared because they got pulled because they're made in China.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I'm, of course, having an issue with this naturally in the world of physical media.
Sure.
When
tough.
When you're acquiring international editions, the tariffs are a real factor in terms of pricing. So
Yes.
it's a challenge. To me, the sad part about that is the actual like independent retailers who work super hard to get international editions of discs into their stores that like they're getting hammered by this stuff. It's obviously an absolute drop in the bucket relative to the real life experience of so many people, but it's affecting all the things that we're interested in. Okay, my picks. In Blockbuster, I'm gonna go with Total Recall, which is one of Paul Verhoeven's masterpieces. Strong case for it being Arnold Schwarzenegger's best movie. Kind of neck and neck, I think, with the Terminator films.
A very exciting film to see in 1990 as a 13-year-old.
I'll bet. Not one, not two, but three-breasted woman appears in this film, which I can imagine blew young Chris's mind.
Didn't know it was possible.
In addition, like just a riveting sci-fi story that is like really walks this very delicate line between schlock and incisive satire.
Yeah.
Very funny performance from Sharon Stone as a wife who is not to be trusted. What do we think Verhoeven is trying to say with that? That predates her appearance in Basic Instinct. Schwarzenegger, like very, very comfortable cracking lines on dudes while also cracking skulls. And when he's put in a position to succeed like this, like you tend to get extremely memorable movies. This is just one of the best sci-fi satire, borderline comedies of its era. So that's Blockbuster. There's obviously a couple of other categories that could have gone in, but Blockbuster is kind of funky, and I'm looking forward to talking through it with you guys.
Okay.
There are obviously a few in there that will work very well, but I think I'm going to take one of those off the board right now by just taking in comedy Home Alone, since it is...
I was going to do it if you didn't, yeah.
You know, a very meaningful movie to me personally. We did an episode of it on the Rewatchables with Mina Kimes. It was very fun. And Macaulay Culkin fucking with Daniel Stern and Joe Pesci for 1 hour is remarkable. The actual framework of the movie is very upsetting, and I think about it often as a parent.
Oh, about like leaving Alice home alone?
Yeah.
And how she would handle it?
We don't have like 9 kids. They were shuttling a lot of children into those cars.
Yeah, I think there
going
would
to
be
the
a little bit more liability on you.
And a little, frankly, a little hard to accept if you want to look at the movie realistically.
Well, yeah, we were latchkey kids back then. Like the
That's
parents,
true.
you know what I mean? They let us rock.
And Kevin McAllister, you know, he was an iconoclast. He wanted his own
Yeah,
space. He wanted his own time. He wanted his own cheese pizza. You know, he wanted his own time.
He didn't want to get pissed on by Kieran.
No, and he didn't want Buzz to terrorize him. And Home Alone is a classic.
Did you grow to have Buzz's room with the tarantula and the baseball cards? Would you say Buzz was your kind of model?
No, I never had my own room.
Oh.
So I always shared a room with my brother growing up. So I wouldn't know what that's like.
You say that like you're a Dickens character.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, just a poor boy in an orphanage living with my brother. No, it was great to share a room with my brother, but I literally have never had my own room. I think I've talked about this on the podcast.
oh yeah.
Because I had roommates in college
Yeah.
and then moved in with my girlfriend right at a college.
Right.
And so
That explains a lot about you. You're just like constantly seeking your own space because you've never had a room of one's own.
Yeah.
So you're just like, get away from me, everybody. I just need some time with my spreadsheets. The spreadsheets are the walls that you build to keep us out.
Maybe. I mean, to my mind, it's kept you in, you know? It's kept you involved. The spreadsheets have worked out.
The other day, Zach asked me, he's like, hey, where do you look for like a date of film releases? He's like, what's your favorite website? And I was like, Sean's spreadsheet, you know?
Yeah.
So I have respect for it.
Yeah. Hopefully it's benefited all of us here. So I'll take Home Alone in comedy. Good comedy year, but
great picks.
Feels like the right place to take it.
I appreciate what you just did there. You know that American-Russian relations are one of my core interests. As are...
It's not your turn,
Take
friend.
my hand, because it's my turn.
Oh, it's going back.
Yeah.
This is a
Well,
snake
you can
fashion.
do it. I understand.
I'm sorry.
I understand.
It's
I understand.
also, it's a little thin on the ground, right? In action horror thriller.
I think I got confused because of the way we're sitting versus what the order
I know.
is.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I know.
Go ahead.
Well, I'm sorry.
I have a deep bench.
I didn't do it first
This
out
is
of
roughly the 85th draft we've done.
out of respect.
I have
for you.
actually started to wonder whether or not I have a brain tumor when it comes to
No.
drafts because I fucked up the draft in Bill's pod like live on stage and I was just like, it's my turn, right? Like 8 times.
That did happen.
And I don't know what's going on.
Are you okay?
I think so.
No matter what happens,
Yeah.
early onset dementia, some sort of degenerative
You're
issue,
going to pod me until
I will put you in that chair and make sure that you record all of your nonsense dribbling into perpetuity.
But I'm like, Mike Figgis' internal affairs.
Oh, could come up.
Go ahead.
All right, Amanda, it is
Do your
your
worst.
turn
So
now.
I'm trying to justify my cruelness, my cruelty.
You're allowed to like this movie.
Well, I mean, I love this movie, but it is also, we added a sequel into the mix, so that takes away especially some action movies. Not to tip a hand there. So I will be taking in action horror thriller The Hunt for Red October, which is a movie I love dearly. And is really the only submarine environment that I would ever want to be a part of. Even Crimson Tide is too tough for me.
Why would you
want to
want
be
to
on
be
a Russian sub?
No, I just, they have respect for each other. There's like an
all the Russians smoking on each other.
Sam Neill and Sean Connery.
They murder their political officer
Well,
in the
sometimes
first
you gotta
scene.
do what you gotta do. They have respect for each other.
Okay.
Sometimes you just want to be on a team with
Do you
one
think
other
that
guy
you
who
would
wants
be
to see.
down with defecting? Like, do you think that like you would be like part of like the group of guys that were defecting, or would you have wanted to get offloaded in a fake nuclear reactor
I would absolutely
situation?
like, you know me, because I like anytime I could just be like, fuck that to to anyone.
Right.
I would absolutely. I don't really like authority very much, so I would be happy to defect.
I think that one of the happiest places you ever would have been would be if you were the sonar operator on the Dallas. Just got your roll of paper towels, just cleaning off your screen, listening to Paganini, you know?
I feel that you guys have isolated me on this podcast as an antisocial
No, I
weirdo.
just think that would be a job that you were really good at. You were just like, bang, got it. Sonar.
Could I listen at 2x? That's really, if I could listen to the sonar pings at 2x, I think I'd be more comfortable. The Hunt for Red October is fantastic. Chris has been lobbying for it to be on the rewatchables.
I can't believe that it hasn't been. I know it was up for a vote.
I even watched the movie that he's like, you have to watch Inside Movies, and I did. And,
yeah. Did you like it?
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah. No, this was a peak rewatchable in my house because we were big on like all the Jack Ryan, Tom Clancy stuff. Like my parents read those books along with the Grisham stuff.
And this was the first of the Jack Ryans.
Exactly.
And then Alec Baldwin, of course, was recast.
Look at what they took from us.
Harrison Ford. Now, that's an interesting... There's probably a
you
wider
probably
Jack Ryan pod to be
Harrison
done,
Ford, Jack Ryan as a specimen.
Sure.
With his little neckerchief.
I do, but this is obviously better than any of the Harrison Ford movies, in my opinion.
I'm quite fond of Clear and Present Danger. I think this is better.
Yeah.
But I think Clear and Present Danger is good. Patriot Games, I'm a little mixed on, personally. What about The Sum of All Fears?
When Ben Affleck blows up Baltimore?
Yeah.
Then he becomes... Did we verify that he becomes president at the end? You told me
novels,
that on a different draft.
I think
a different draft.
Jack wins becomes president at a certain point in the Tom Clancy novels. I can't remember if in Sum of All Fears he is like the designated survivor, basically.
What is his current status on the show?
Jack Ryan's?
Yeah, like
what's
up
on
with
the
him?
TV show?
Yeah,
I know he keeps going into South America and doing some dastardly deeds. Yeah.
I will just say, in Alec Baldwin Industries, this is an amazing time.
What a year.
1988 through 1993, Alec Baldwin.
You don't have to tell me.
Is phenomenal.
When's Malice?
This is the shape of it. It's Beetlejuice, Married to the Mob, Working Girl,
That's
Great
right.
Balls of Fire, The Hunt for Red October, Miami Blues, Alice, the Woody Allen movie, The Marrying Man, Glengarry Glen Ross, and Malice.
Yeah.
That's a run. That's a great, at the time, I think everybody thought he was going to be whatever, Clark Gable or something, and it obviously didn't turn out that way.
Right.
But great range, lots of different kinds of movies, good action hero, great comedy star, great like dirt baggy, crime noir movie guy. Obviously, he's had a very weird life. Are you watching the Baldwins?
Now he's on TLC with like 12
I have not
kids.
been watching
No, I'm
more,
not
yeah.
watching
Okay.
it. Yeah.
There's a lot of mockery of that show out in the world, but I haven't seen any of it.
Um,
He was a good Jack Ryan, I thought. I enjoyed him.
yeah. Great movie.
Okay.
One ping only.
My turn now.
Chris, you've got two.
Okay. I will take in drama a film. I recently began my own physical media collection.
Oh, God.
Did I tell you this? And I realized how important this film was to me because of how quickly it was like, I got to get this to start
First on
with.
your list. Yeah.
Miller's Crossing, which I will have in drama. It is, I think, 4 out of 7 days of the week, my favorite Coen brother movie is the first one I saw.
Okay.
It was a mind-altering experience to watch this on VHS, whatever year I saw it. Like, it was pretty close to 90 if it wasn't 90. And is still such a mesmerizing, unique take on, 1930s and 40s fast-talking noir movies, very much rooted in Dashiell Hammett. Stars Gabriel Byrne as like kind of a Michael Clayton Irish mobster who's working for Albert Finney's gangster, like the leader of the Irish mob, and he flits back and forth between rival factions of the underworld. But an incredible Marcia Gay Harden performance, like a star-making Turturro performance. Really great early Buscemi. All like the great Coen brothers faces are in this movie, and I still say lines from this movie to this day.
It's a 5-star classic.
One of those beautiful scores, Carter Burwell. Just an amazing.
I honestly didn't hear anything that you were saying because I was thinking about
DVDs.
physical media. Yeah.
And
Why?
you know what's really nice is he like now pretty routinely will be like, I have these 3. Would you like them? Like,
I've been giving my duplicates and my stuff that I don't need to Chris.
What What inspired this?
I started finding that the versions of movies that I would be watching, for instance, for rewatchables on like any of the streaming services, like were pretty obviously degraded or just not as good as I think they could be. And I think because we'd seen a couple of things in theaters recently, like rep theater stuff, like when we went and saw Thief, I was like, this is way better than Thief was when I watched it for the rewatchables. So I got a player, and then I got like a couple of like, Days in Heaven.
Okay.
Like Heat, the ones that you would think Seven, like the ones that were kind of like core texts, but they're just so obviously like better. Like,
yeah. I mean, I understand
but
that.
I think I'm going to keep it pretty normal. Like I want the library of movies that I will watch over and over again. And then some stuff where I'm like, oh, this is really interesting. And I got it at a good price or whatever.
I think you're pursuing a cool version of it, which is like, obviously I'm completely mentally ill and need to seek help. You're, basically capturing your all-time favorites.
Yeah.
And honestly, with the way that the 4Ks look now, like these movies have never looked better than when they were first shown on film in theaters. And then also just like really weird stuff that you otherwise would never
see. Like Italian
see.
70s crime movies or something like that.
And just saying like, I'm going to take a chance on these 3 movies. And then for 3 months, this is like one of my hobbies. It's just like buying a book where you're just like, this is what I'm going to do with my free time with this book for these 3 months.
I'm concerned. You've got him, you've got Tim, you've got like Tracy all around you.
One of our great playwrights, one of our great actors, Tim,
I mean, I think I said this on the Minecraft episode. The boys are back. Boys are back. No, I said on the Warfare episode. It's boys time.
Yeah, it is. It is boys town.
The boys and their toys are back in town, and you need to just make room for us, make space for us.
Start fitting Knox for a master's green jacket.
That's exactly right. Start fitting him for a movie theater chair in your house.
Yeah.
He went to the driving range after.
That's how it goes.
My 3-year-old
you watch
son.
it and you're like, I want to do it.
Yes. I want to wear that jacket, that hideous green jacket one day so I can be a part of that club.
I just want to say I've had a lot of listeners just like DMing me about skincare. And I have felt seen and supported by that. And I want to thank everyone.
Those are all my
those
I just make up.
You know what?
Different.
One of them was about Augustinus Bader. So
really?
There you go. Yeah.
Okay, so
you've got another
CR. Which category did you take that?
That's in drama, bud.
Drama.
Thanks for asking.
I really looked out for you. I did. And Amanda as well.
Wait, what do you mean?
I felt Amanda that would be interested in Hunt for Red October as well. So I went home alone, in the spirit of good potting.
Yeah.
We're trying to lift each other up today, despite Amanda and I sniping at each other as usual.
That's just
it's part of the game. It's part of life.
I think for so I have Millers and Drama and Goodfellas and Oscar. And I think
pretty strong lineup.
I'll take, just to get one here, I'm going to grab Days of Thunder in action. No, I'm going to do Days of Thunder and Blockbuster. I'm sorry. Days of Thunder and Blockbuster.
Okay, great.
Just
good,
recently,
that category getting a little thin.
Yeah, just recently did this on Rewatchables, and it's essentially just Top Gun with cars. But God damn it. Like, there are frames of this movie that will make your heart explode with patriotism and love of cinema and what Tony Scott gave us and what Tom Cruise gave us. And like just the sequences of the races, the NASCAR races alone are worth it. Obviously, this is Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman's union on screen.
Yes.
And quite exciting. She plays a neurologist.
Yeah, I remember.
A neurosurgeon.
She's 23 years old in this movie, isn't it?
Did you hear the bit where she went to Jerry Bruckheimer and Don Simpson and said she really wanted to do a lot of research on neurosurgery, and they said, don't bother?
Checks out. Checks out.
So I'll take that in Blockbuster.
Okay, good pick. Days of Thunder made $82 million at the box office, just in under the wire. Total Recall made $119 million. And did you take your Blockbuster yet?
No, I'm about to, though, because it's my pick.
Fire away.
In Blockbuster, I will take Presumed Innocent.
Intriguing.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay. You've left yourself
Interesting.
open.
Have I?
Well, perhaps this isn't a film that matters to you.
Oh, sure, but, I know what you think that I would take, but yes, I would like to have.
I know you love Presumed Innocent.
Harrison Ford in a legal thriller.
Yeah,
I thought you were going to say something else. I would love to have Harrison Ford
sure,
in a Rogue.
I guess we talked a lot about this film when we were all watching the remake on Apple, which strong start, and then really didn't bear out. Luckily, they didn't reproduce the ending of the film, so I guess no spoiler.
Yeah.
I mean,
I thought a lot to recommend.
Sure.
A very disappointing final couple of episodes.
Exactly.
For that series.
Anyway, no spoilers if you haven't
it
seen.
Did launch Chase Infinity, future PTA star.
That's
of
true.
One battle after another.
Right.
Yeah.
That's true. Anyway, if you haven't seen the film version of Presumed Innocent, it's a little different, but also
Fantastic.
the same
movie.
and dynamite. So good. And that type of like airport novel, with respect to Scott Turow, I do think I'm gonna this summer read all the Scott Turow novels, but like
chronologically, or will you go best
well, I think this is the first one, so I'll probably start with 2.
Okay.
You know,
you feel like you got this one taken care of.
I don't know if the suspense would be there and the mystery, but I spent a lot of time watching 90s movies, studio movies, starring movie stars adapted from things that you read in the airport, and had a fantastic time.
Bonnie Bedelia,
dynamite.
Great year for her.
Yeah.
Maybe talking more about her soon.
No spoilers.
Yeah.
Please. She's a strong screen presence for sure. Okay. I have 2 picks. Where to go here? Well, I don't think anyone's going to take my drama. I could be wrong about that, but I don't think so. So I will start with Oscar nominee. And I will take Ghost.
Yeah.
Okay.
Starring Demi Moore and Academy
Great
Award
movie.
winner
I
Whoopi
mean,
Goldberg.
I'm deleting it off a list now.
The late great Patrick Swayze.
Do you agree with Bill Simmons that this is an accurate portrayal of the afterlife?
I think what he says is that this is what happens when you die and they bring you to hell.
No, it's either darkness and you get yanked to hell, or light.
I don't believe in the afterlife, so no.
Okay.
But that doesn't, I'm not ruling anything out. Do I think that they're like shadow goblins that come and rip you into the earth?
Yeah.
I don't think that. But when I saw this movie, and I saw this movie probably at home when I was 9.
I saw this movie on a date.
That's awesome.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Did you
how'd that go?
Did you seal the deal?
I'll tell you what happened. I got broken up with by this girl as we were like going into this movie, and I was quite rude about the film because of that.
I don't understand. Why did you go?
Like, it was like a group date, and like I was dating a girl in 6th grade or whatever.
Sure,
and
yeah.
She was like, "We're not dating anymore," and I was like, "Fuck!" And I was so mad.
Did you still sit next to each other?
Yeah.
Oh, that sucks.
I basically tried to ruin her experience.
Oh, okay.
You know.
Not the most mature response.
This is really.
I was in 6th grade. I think it was pretty fucking mature.
Can you just say her name out loud on this episode?
This is a
It was
new
Elle
one.
McPherson. I never forgot. No.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Ghost is a wonderful movie, and was back in the news when Demi Moore was doing a lot of press for The Substance, and it was interesting to hear her talk about that because she gives such a great performance in that movie, and she's not great in a lot of movies in that era. She was always a kind of interesting movie star and a complicated movie actor, and that part is really hard to pull off, and it's such a strange mixture of like heavy romance and a movie about grief and a supernatural thriller and all this complex stuff, and the Tony Goldwyn character is so like over the top and ridiculous and it's
tough 90s for him.
And continuing on, he appears to be not a very nice man in One Battle After Another, actually. But I always really liked this movie, and I it's like a high concept, low execution mainstream movie, which I think is something that is a little bit lost. That when we get stuff like that, I try to put a little bit of like a red circle around it. So I want to give it a shout.
What's the last commercially released real like romantic tearjerker? So not like After Sun, but like a movie where like there's a lot of tears being shed because of like a romantic relationship, albeit maybe a doomed one, but like,
I mean, It Ends With Us was like this, you know? Like that. That's
Yeah,
kind of what that was playing.
Our
on.
tears were for different reasons.
Yeah,
on that one.
I didn't feel that way. But
I'm trying to think. I mean, the first thing that like all the Nicholas Sparks movies, I think, which includes The Notebook, but they kept making those. Yeah. Did Channing Tatum and Rachel McAdams made one like 2010, but I can't think of anything in the last 10 years.
Iron Claw.
Well, sure.
I mean, that was a classic male week. It was. It really was, though. I think the romantic tearjerker that is well regarded is unusual.
Right.
And in this era, that wasn't so much the case. It's the era of like James L. Brooks and Nora Ephron, and you've got these writers who have like a real knack for this kind of thing. Mike Nichols movies are really good at that. But yeah, I don't know. It feels very far away. And to me, it's because it has that like horror thriller element to it that I really enjoy. The complexity of the genre types mixed together. All right, so I have another pick.
Had a very interesting turn of from, was this David Zucker directed this?
Yes, exactly.
Which is obviously like one of the great comic filmmakers.
Director of Airplane and Top Secret and all those movies. Okay. I think I'll go to thriller, horror, action here. A number of cool choices. I'll take Misery. I think Misery is the best movie of the bunch. Stephen King adaptation, Kathy Bates and James Caan. Story about, it's kind of like if a CR head met Chris in the street and decided to break his ankles so that he couldn't leave their home. And do you fear that?
No, not at all.
You don't fear being abducted by a fan?
I don't. No, I don't think I have that kind of effect on people.
What if it was just like a really well-meaning but mentally damaged 50-year-old man who lifts weights all day?
Isn't it?
Just like a Real of Mice and Men situation, you know? Where you,
like I'm the rabbit?
Yeah. What, like, would it be okay? How would you be able to have empathy in that experience?
No.
I would try, yeah. This is a strange conversation topic.
Misery, obviously very funny because it's obviously Stephen King writing about like basically his worst nightmare. What would happen if he found himself in the throes of a fan who took things too far? And Kathy Bates like really sells the insanity of this part. Adapted by the great William Goldman, directed by Rob Reiner, and Rob Reiner in the midst of one of the most remarkable
That's right.
runs of crowd-pleasing movies in the late 80s and early 90s.
You have to say it like that.
What do you mean? Crowd-pleasing? You know, he shall return this year with Spinal Tap 2.
I saw.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Coming out this fall. Any thoughts?
I'll see
I'm
it.
excited for it. Yeah.
I once saw Rob Reiner eating at a restaurant in Hawaii with his family. He looked very happy. He looked like a very happy person.
Is he still tweeting?
I think he's off that platform.
Okay.
Is he like
is he on Blue Sky? Yeah.
No, he's just went to Truth Social. Yeah. He wanted to see what was happening over there just to get an inside look at the damage.
He's reaching
it's really
across
interesting
the
when the way that you feel the need to like answer the call, you know, you like sense like, okay, like Chris's voice, you know, Chris isn't really feeling it. And this is what you fill the void with.
I'm feeling it today. Does it seem like I'm not feeling it?
It doesn't matter. I've got your back no matter what. This is a performance. It's important that we perform.
No, I think you're doing a great job. I'm just, you know, it's a new character that's jumping out. It's my turn?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. There are two things I could do here, but I think I'm going to draft with my heart instead of strategically. And so, comedy is also a little thinner. So in comedy, I'm going to take Metropolitan.
Good. Almost went with this with Oscar.
Oh yeah, that also would have been good. This is the Whit Stillman, the first in the Whit Stillman trilogy about young, overly educated, rich kids, or mostly rich kids, sitting in rooms trying to impress each other and being miserable with their lives. And I did not see this when I was 5, but I saw it when I was young. Around the same time, I think I saw Whit Stillman and Noah Baumbach's Kicking and Screaming. Like all of the 90s on Wii movies were handed to me probably in high school. And they were pretty important. I was like, wow, I didn't know you could do this with a movie. I didn't know that there were people out there who wanted to be like this and are terrible, but also seem to, you know, value being terrible in the same way that I would. And like, how do I get to be near them?
Very incisive look into your psychology.
It's just what can I do about this? How can I be around the people who make movies like this? How can I be around people who like movies like this? So this was, I mean, it's a classic. I think we all love this one.
Oh yeah.
It's a great movie. Is this where does this rank in the Wit filmography for you?
It's probably 1, and then Last Days of Disco 2, and
not
then,
a Barcelona person.
No, I like Barcelona. You're making me rank them. It's there's a 1, 2, and 3 when you rank them.
Yeah.
I like all of them, and I think I did also watch them chronologically. So there just is that first moment of like, oh, but I think if you say Whit Stillman, you think of all of them in that living room at the party, like bickering with
you
each
think
other.
of literary criticism.
I was just going to say reading literary criticism so you don't have to read the book. Chris Eigenman, just my whole personality.
All time.
Yeah, that's my whole, I just based my whole thing on
and
that.
So he's obviously in this, kicking and screaming, and also on Gilmore Girls right around this time.
Yeah.
So Chris Eigenman was just everywhere in my life, very important to me, which I think says a lot about me.
He's terrific.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to pick in comedy.
Okay.
I'm going to pick House Party.
Wow.
Directed by Reginald Hudlin, starring Kid and Play, the rap duo at the time, Robin Harris, Tisha Campbell. This was like my Dazed and Confused before Dazed and Confused came out. I mentioned like I was pretty like into rap at the time and still am, but like I was like really defining my personality off of this. And it's essentially like a One Crazy Night movie about these two guys who are trying to get to a house party that one of their fathers forbids them from going to. And their like loves and their dreams and their hopes, but also like a ton of really, really funny comic stuff happening in it. But it was just like such a perfect slice of life. And also like the immediacy of getting to see like, rap culture reflected on screen like that was pretty amazing at the time. Reginald Hudlin was like a huge, I guess, kind of a big deal filmmaker for me at this time when I think about it. He maybe is one of my first favorite filmmakers in some ways, like
Big Boomerang guy?
Well, I think it was just like I would recognize his name and the movies were like they felt like kind of urgent at the time, but this was like a real like rewatch 55 times. I do think I saw this in the theater. It was a big deal for me and my friends. R.I.P. Robin Harris, one of the greatest to ever do it.
He's very funny in this movie. My Kid and Play movie was always, maybe just the slight age difference was always Class Act. That was the one that I always watched. I don't know if you ever saw that one, Amanda, where they like, the two guys like switch roles. They like meet each other inside the school.
I just Googled it. Yes.
Oh yeah.
Which I'm not saying is objectively a better movie than House Party, but it was always the one that I wanted to watch, and also featured Karen Parsons, who was on Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, and I always thought she was really beautiful. Okay. You got one more pick, Chris.
Okay.
House Party is classic. Did you see the House Party remake?
No. Was it good?
No.
Okay. Let's do action horror thriller here, right?
You don't have that? What do you have?
I have drama, comedy, Oscar, and blockbuster.
Deep bench for horror action thriller because there are so many thrillers this year.
Yes.
This is an amazing time for the Hollywood thriller.
Can I call King of New York a thriller?
I think so.
Then I will take it as a thriller.
Okay, great.
Abel Ferrara's New York crime story. This is a great year for gangster movies. That I could have picked 3 or 4 of them. But I'll take this one. Probably the most illicit movie I had ever seen at the time. Like when I saw this on video. Like I'd never seen certain acts committed on the subway. Like I did in King of New York, and one of the iconic Christopher Walken performances, along with like an incredible ensemble cast. But this is probably peak Ferrara for me, and it's just an awesome New York gangster movie.
It's one of my favorite movies of all time. We did a great Rewatchables episode about it with Quentin Tarantino about 5 years ago. Insane bench on this movie.
Unbelievable.
Caruso, young Wesley Snipes, Victor Argo, Larry Fishburne. Honestly, beautiful, just really dark, upsetting movie about what happens when a guy gets out of prison and is taking his corners back.
Yeah.
Huge fan of this movie. Okay, Amanda.
Okay. I have.
What do you have left?
So I have 6 sequel, drama, and wild card left. So I still can't do this with my hands.
No one has taken the
Inglourious
sequel.
Bastards one. I just can't do it. But yeah, you can do it. But Knox could do it. Yeah. Okay, sequel. No one has anything. I'm gonna go ahead and get it off the board, and I'm gonna take Die Hard 2.
Okay.
Because that way I don't have to take Look Who's Talking To, which was number 2 on my list and germane to my life right now because it's about potty training. But Die Hard 2, this is the one at the airport.
Yes. Do you? When's the last time you saw it?
I think we had to rank the Die Hard movies a few years ago.
Okay.
Didn't we?
Do you feel like you want airports to go back to this era?
When you can show up and roam around. And I mean, I definitely need a decrease in airport security now that I'm traveling with 2 children. Yeah, because like otherwise we are going to get arrested.
Yeah.
Because Knox just beelines for he's like trying to get on every plane at this point. And he like sees like the security keypad, and he's just like going to press some numbers and then like bolt through it like the kid in Love Actually. So... yeah, I mean, I'm okay with it.
Maybe there is a Home Alone IP exploration we could do called Plane Alone, where it's just Knox
in the sky.
Yeah, in the sky.
Solo. Just flying. Turn on autopilot.
Yeah.
Die Hard 2, I like. It's fun. It's insane.
Sure.
Very
yeah,
insane.
It like
There's
goes
a
on
very,
forever.
very wildly upsetting plane crash in this movie.
Yeah, when they turn the lights out.
Yeah. Rennie Harlan in fuck it mode, saying we don't care about good taste in our Die Hard movie.
Sure. I think, it was so inconceivable back then that
when William Sadler is nude doing karate yoga at the beginning, are you like, that's a life goal?
I think Matt Damon was.
It's true. There's
I think Matt Damon was like, that's the body of Odysseus.
And do you think General Ramon Esperanza, as portrayed by Franco Nero, had some good ideas about the body politic?
We don't know what his platform was. He was silenced.
Yeah, that's 2 Bonnie Bedelia movies for Amanda.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
I think kind of some similar energy. I mean, I know she's blonde, so, it's...
Similar energy to you, or her 2 characters in this film have the similar energy?
I guess I was going character-based.
Yeah.
But,
she's a woman
I think that...
You being similar to the lady in Presumed Innocent is very amusing.
I was going to say, both could be achieved.
She takes the law into her own hands in both films.
Yeah. Which, I'd like to do.
Yeah.
Okay. So I have 2 picks. The categories I'm missing. I'm also missing sequel. I'm missing drama. And I'm missing wild card. Wow, wild card is just rippling with possibilities. My word. In drama, easy one, I waited. I'm taking David Lynch's Wild at Heart, which is a beautiful movie that is borderline insane, starring Nicolas Cage and Laura Dern. It is kind of a romance, kind of an action movie, kind of a blanket homage to Wizard of Oz. Thought about taking an Oscar nominee, Diane Ladd, Laura Dern's mother, is in this movie, playing kind of like the Wicked Witch in some ways, trying to track down these 2 young lovers on this crazy road trip. Nick Cage just in full snakeskin boot, rock and roll, fake Elvis mode. Electrifying. This is probably one of the first movies I ever saw that shifted the expectations tonally of a studio movie, of like a star movie, where just like when you're watching a David Lynch movie and everything just feels a little bit tilted 5 or 7 degrees and you can't totally figure out why or even what he's trying to do by making it feel that way. But it's not Inland Empire. It's not so weird that you can't follow the narrative of the story. But I remember very specifically that staircase scene with Diane Ladd just being so upsetting and weird, and the smear of the lipstick. So this movie won the Palme d'Or that year and has gone on to be legendary. Although I wouldn't say it's in my like upper echelon for Lynch. It's still truly great. That's drama. And I guess I'll go to sequel. Now, I don't want to step on your pick, but there are not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, but 5 sequels to legendary, iconic new Hollywood films. 5 films that absolutely changed movies, and 5 films that I feel inspired by, that I love to this day. that I'm so interested in. And I'm not going to choose a sequel to any of those movies in this category. I'm taking Gremlins 2, The New Batch.
Okay, good.
Which is just one of my favorite movies ever.
Good.
Joe Dante's
What happens
sequel.
in Gremlins 2, The New Batch? Are they working at
I'm
like
really glad you
Gimbals?
asked. Nope.
Is this like a classic Gremlins 2 is way better than Gremlins? Like, is that
For me,
among
it
the
is.
Gremlins heads? Like, that's a real.
Well, Gremlins is a wonderful movie.
Right.
That is a movie about a small town and
Okay.
working class family in a small town. A father who's an inventor who's trying to get his son, set up in the new world and.
The new batch of Gremlins.
The new batch of Gremlins. I'm ready to share with you some thoughts about those Gremlins.
What is
the first one was a small film written by Chris Columbus. The second film, produced by Spielberg and Joe Dante and this interesting triumvirate of characters. The second film is set basically in Trump Tower.
Yeah.
And
a department store, right?
No, it's sort of like an everything skyscraper.
Okay.
That you can sort of visit. That's a TV station. That's
right.
Has a restaurant inside of it, and the characters from the first film are both working inside of this tower. When the Gremlins are introduced to the tower, the Mogwai comes in and gives birth to Gremlins, and the Gremlins are introduced into the building. And then because of all the technology in the building and because of all the influences of media, a lot of different kinds of Gremlins are created. There's like a vegetable gremlin. There's like a vampire gremlin. There's an electricity gremlin. There's all these
Why
weird...
is there a vegetable gremlin?
Because there's like a cooking show where there are vegetables.
Okay.
It's complete batshit.
Someone has to ask the question,
I know.
Chris.
There's a legendary Key and Peele sketch about Gremlins 2 that is so funny that if you watch it, you can see Jordan Peele and the character that he's playing as like the studio executive explaining Gremlins 2 to a group of people at a studio that shows you why Jordan Peele is now who Jordan Peele is.
Right.
Because he gets the joke and the mechanics of this movie so well. Gremlins 2 is ridiculous. If you go in thinking it's like a serious, scary creature movie,
I never thought that
you
about
will
Gremlins,
misunderstand it. To me, it's like one of the cleverest, if not the most clever movie about like the scary future of America. Just using Gremlins as the stand-in for the problem. John Glover plays the Trump stand-in. He's a very benevolent Trump stand-in, but it is a truly magical movie. So Gremlins 2, The New Batch.
Okay.
That's beautiful.
Thank you.
Is it my turn?
It's your turn.
No, I am.
No, it's Amanda's
yeah,
turn.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
what I
What was
thought.
your first pick?
My first pick was Wild at Heart.
Oh, sure. Right. Okay. Wild at Heart and Gremlins 2. Very normal stuff.
Those are me coded.
I have drama and wild card left. And in drama, I will take Postcards from the Edge.
Yeah.
Which is a Mike Nichols film written by Carrie Fisher, adapted from her like semi-autobiographical novel.
Did you read it?
I've never read it, actually. I guess I did read Wishful Drinking. I read some form of Wishful Drinking. But and so anyway, this movie stars Meryl Streep and Shirley MacLaine in the Carrie Fisher and Debbie Reynolds-esque roles, and is about Meryl Streep is it's a movie star who gets sent to rehab for a cocaine problem and then is released on the terms that she lives with her mother, who is like an old Hollywood star.
In order to get like bonded. Like
in order
insurance,
to like get insurance to be able to keep working. And it is about moms and daughters and addiction and Hollywood and also just like star power. There are several musical sequences in this including one absolutely incredible Shirley MacLaine
The dinner
performance.
party one.
The dinner party
thing,
thing. Yeah.
So painful. So painful to watch.
It's so painful and amazing, but then also what Meryl Streep is doing in that scene, watching her and hating her and loving her. There aren't a lot of great mother-daughter movies in history because of mostly men make movies or have historically. But this one really nails it and is wonderful and incredible. Like the last sequence also with Meryl Streep and her performance, just like really memorable. It is like mostly just kind of like observed moments rather than like any big narrative, you know?
Yeah.
Really great dialogue, really well.
Yeah.
Like there's a couple of really great overlapping dialogue scenes where like they're both talking at the same time.
Exactly.
And, yeah.
You know who's fantastic in this movie? Gene Hackman. Such a small performance, but so good in this.
Good Rob Reiner, too.
Good Rob Reiner, Richard Dreyfuss, Annette Bening is in this movie.
Young Dennis Quaid.
Dennis
The
Quaid.
Annette Bening one scene is incredibly funny.
Oliver Platt, Michael Onkeen. There's like a ton of people in this movie.
I mean, it's Mike Nichols, one of my faves.
Okay, good pick. CR, you've got...
I got sequel and wild card. And,
2 left.
And sequel is a tough one.
Would you? I mean, I can read you the list.
I know the 3.
There's the long list. This is an interesting list.
Okay.
Because to me, it strikes me as a collision of the shitbird 80s and the boomery 70s trying to reclaim their mantle. So the post 80s crowd, Amanda already took Die Hard 2, arguably the best of the bunch from that particular crop. You've also got Predator 2. You've also got another 48 Hours. You've also got RoboCop 2 and Young Guns 2. Not to mention 3 Men and a Little Lady and Look Who's Talking To.
3 Men and a Little Lady was also on my list.
There's 2 other movies there, though.
Now, there's a bunch of other movies that are 70s sequels.
Yes.
So among them, of course, there's The Godfather Part 3, one of the most memorable or one of the most notable ones. But you've also got Texasville, which is the Last Picture Show sequel. You've got The Two Jakes, which is the Chinatown sequel. You've got The Exorcist 3.
Yes.
You've also got Leatherface, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3, and you've got Rocky 5. That's a lot of sequels to major historical movies.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to be selecting Exorcist 3.
Okay.
I do like Godfather Part 3, but Exorcist 3 is one of the great horror movies I think ever made, honestly. One of the scariest jump scares still to this day that I've ever seen. I won't spoil it for people, but it is essentially William Peter Blatty, who wrote the novel for The Exorcist, or the novel that The Exorcist is based on. He, after the horror show that happened with Exorcist 2, directed Exorcist 3. It stars George C. Scott as a detective who is investigating the possibility of like a serial killer that he thought long dead has come back to terrorize Georgetown. And it ties in with The Exorcist 1 with the father from the priest from the first movie. But it's just got like, kind of to your point about Wild at Heart, there are some scenes and some ways of doing things in this movie that are like 8% stranger than your usual Hollywood horror movie or Hollywood film, across the board. And that 8% makes this film so memorable. Like the agonizing tension it builds up, some of the religious imagery, some of the, admittedly corny, but like really breathtaking in conception special effects, like the interrogation scene. Just incredible stuff.
Have you seen The Ninth Configuration? William Peter Blatty's directorial debut?
No.
Very interesting movie starring Stacy Keach. I think it's about astronauts who come back from space travel and are kind of mentally tortured. Very, very interesting movie.
Interesting.
It's worth checking out.
Sorry.
And you wonder why there's no mother-daughter movies.
I'm sorry. It was just like
we can make a mother-daughter movie, but what do astronauts feel when they come back?
Like, what's the SNL sketch? It's like coffee talk,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and it was just like the two of you, but just as soon as you started saying like the final configuration, and you guys are just like like whatever that's called.
There's something about this desk that it's like you can only be in a one-on-one convo. It's hard. I agree with you. That the ninth configuration
honestly just was so kind during the postcards from the Edge glossing, and then as soon as I say the ninth configuration, just total rudeness, just literally laughing. It's just really embarrassing. Okay. So did you take your wild card yet?
No.
You have a wild card. No, you have 2. Wait.
Yeah. So once we had 7,
we mess up the math.
Well, I think like this snake is going to be a little weird.
Oh, so what happens then?
So I only need one more pick. So then I think it goes to you. Do you have 2 or 1 or
no? Because Chris has one more, right? On the turn here, right? And then
I'll be done.
And then he'll be done, and then you'll have 1.
Oh, okay.
And then
it works.
Done,
oh,
right?
great. Okay.
I think that's right.
I don't know. I can't really count.
Wild card. Well,
yeah, I think that's right.
Okay.
I am going to pick a movie that I was not allowed to see when it came out, and was like titillated by, like just in terms of like seeing pictures from its making and from the set, but like did not see it until much later. And that is The Cook, the Thief, the Wife, and Her Lover.
Awesome.
Peter Greenaway. This is the second Peter Greenaway movie I've taken. I took one in 1982 as well, The Draftsman Contract.
Mm-hmm.
This is one of the most sumptuous, beautifully shot movies and one of the most loveliest scores. Michael Nyman, his score for this film, I play it like very often at my house. Helen Mirren, Michael Gambon, a very young Tim Roth, in a fucked up story of lust and love and greed and gluttony. And I would recommend, I mean, if anybody has even the most passing curiosity of this filmmaker, this is the best place to enter. Although I will say, caution, mature subjects are described and shown in this
Portrayed,
film.
for sure, yeah.
But this is so beautiful, like the cinematography and specifically the camera movements, the conception of the world that was like built up on sets, and you know, like a room will be painted entirely red. Helen Mirren will be wearing a red dress, you know, and like the way he uses color, he truly sees film like the way a fine artist does. And I just recommend people check this out if they haven't seen it.
When you say that you weren't allowed to see it, like, did you try? And were
There's
you
like a
told,
scene
like,
where Michael Gambon just
No, I mean,
has his hand on Helen Mirren's breast at the dinner
I
table. And I
know.
remember like kind of like catching that out of the corner of my eye and being like, what's going on there? And
Yeah.
my dad being like, just watch Goodfellas again. I think it was like in a book about movies. There was just like a lot of like stills from Peter Greenaway movies of like naked people. And I was like, what is going down here? You know?
He's an erotic British man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So am I.
You truly are. You truly are. This is a great movie, beautiful movie, but also very gross.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of eating.
Yeah.
It's sort of disgusting. Michael Gambon, a tour de force in this movie. He is amazing and has a lot of like weight to carry because he's just talking throughout the whole movie, you know, as this sort of like crime boss figure. Okay, great pick. Amanda, you have one more pick as well in Wildcard.
I am going to go with a movie that I do remember seeing in theaters, which I think is a little strange that I was taken because I would have been 5 or 6, but I have the memory of Cher and Winona Ryder and Christina Ricci all on the screen. And I guess the thinking must just have been like, well, there are 3 women in this, so we better take our little woman to the movie. So this is Mermaids, which it's a family story, a story about a young girl who like doesn't really fit in her town or with her weird older sister and mom, who is Cher. And like a period piece that's set in the 60s, and then you know, typical coming of age hijinks ensue. But I remember liking it. This might have been my first introduction to Cher also. Just like the power of Cher on screen. I don't know where I would have encountered her before.
Has Moonstruck before this?
Possibly.
Well, sure, but I was 3.
The Witches of Eastwick.
Yeah. I mean, no, I don't. I think so. I think that this was
felt like a really big deal when I was a kid. This movie,
and has not lived on.
It doesn't have as much of a reputation. Although I'm looking at, you know, Richard Benjamin, the actor, was the director of this movie. And he came up. Actually, I was on Blank Check over the weekend for an episode that I recorded like roughly 12 years ago.
Okay.
But I remember in that conversation we were talking about the movie Made in America, the Ted Danson Whoopi Goldberg movie, where Ted Danson wore blackface at the Friar Roast. Do you remember this? Some year, you know the story. Oh, it's like a legendary, bizarre thing.
He was like in pop culture. He was like out of the paint for like
completely
10 years,
basically canceled.
Yeah.
And you know, Ted Danson obviously now is like so beloved, but he was dating Whoopi Goldberg at the time, and like in a quote unquote tribute to her, wore blackface and gave his performance at the Friar Roast. Anyway, Richard Benjamin directed that movie, so we were talking about him. That movie came just a couple years after Mermaids, which is good. I actually just saw it for the first time maybe like 3 months ago, and I enjoyed it.
Did you ever see Welcome Home, Roxy Carmichael, which is the other big like Winona starting to kind of emerge movie from this year?
This year,
I don't think so. But I just realized, so this also stars...
there's also Edward Scissorhands, by the way.
Right, yeah.
Quite
this also stars Michael Scheffling, who is obviously Jake Ryan from 16 Candles. But then he's also the next year in a movie called Wild Hearts Can't Be Broken. I don't know if you ever... But that was another very formative movie-going experience for me at the age of 6 or 7. I had forgotten...
Wait, who's in Wild Hearts Can't Be Broken? Is Mary Stuart Masterson in that?
That sounds right, but...
Or is she in...
It's Gabrielle Anwar.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Anyway,
This is your version of naming Cincinnati Reds.
Yeah, he's your Chris Sabo.
I guess so.
Okay.
Do you have wild card?
I just have wild card. I mean, is this where I go into my long laundry list of honorable mentions here?
You may. I mean,
Absolutely.
I can do the same.
I don't know why I just deleted all of mine, which
unbelievable
is bad.
number of movies.
Are you going to pick Tremors?
No, I like Tremors, but it isn't one of my movies, and I know for a lot of people it is one of their big movies.
Are you going to pick Charlie Sheen and Michael Bihn's Navy SEALs?
Never seen it.
Really?
Never seen it. I know that Vinegar Syndrome put out a big fancy edition of it on Blu-ray recently, but I've not seen the film.
What about Christian Slater's Pump Up the Volume?
As you know, not a big movie for me, though it did invent podcasting.
Yeah.
And Harry Hardon.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good movie. Cool movie. I like it. You want to try to pitch me some more
Mo Better
ideas?
Blues?
Mo Better Blues is sitting at the top of my wild card list right
Yeah.
now. Spike Lee's amazing, completely different follow-up to Do the Right Thing. Sort of like love story exploration of the artist's soul, starring Denzel Washington as a jazz musician. Movie that I've always really, really liked. And I think that's probably where I'm going to go. But
Okay.
I do want to point some arrows at a couple movies I really like.
Frankenhooker?
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Well, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. If I had not
Yeah.
taken Home Alone, I
Yeah,
would have.
yeah,
I would have
yeah.
considered Teenage Mutant
TMNT,
Ninja
yeah.
Turtles.
Me
But it's a
too.
big movie for me. Saw it in a movie theater. Loved it. Saw it with my cousins. I remember it vividly. Phil Janot's State of Grace, which is
One of the great Gary Oldman performances.
an incredible year for Irish gangsters.
Yeah.
Between Chris Walken and King of New York and
New York
Miller's
was
Crossing.
back.
New York
Was
was
this
really.
Dinkins?
I think it is Deakins.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dinkins.
Yeah, the mayor.
David Dinkins.
I think the cinematographer for State of Grace is Jordan Cronenweth.
That sounds right. I'm
believe he was-
surprised you didn't take State of Grace.
It was that or King of New York. It was
Okay.
right on the line.
I just revisited Almodovar's Tie Me Up, Tie Me Down,
Mm.
which I don't think I had totally realized was basically the last movie that Antonio Banderas made before making the leap to Hollywood with Mambo Kings and then going on and watching the movie. You know what movie I thought of? Baby Girl, because they're very similar in some ways. Tie Me Up, Tie Me Down is about a sort of a porn actress who's making a shift to making a horror movie, and the young man who gets out of a mental facility and begins stalking her on set. And he's a younger man, and he kidnaps her, and then they have this sort of like psychosexual affair, and then Stockholm Syndrome sets in, and they fall in love. Crazy Almodovar movie. Not my favorite, but really a good one if people haven't seen it. I rewatched Sam Raimi's Darkman.
Yeah.
Just fucking awesome. It's so good. This is such a good year for like not shitty comic book movies.
Yeah.
There's just like a lot of, it's a very comic booky, like 1940 style serial, but great
Darkman?
effects.
Darkman.
What does Darkman
It's
do?
Liam Neeson, and he gets thrown in toxic waste, or
He's
what
dipped in
happens?
toxic waste,
Yeah.
but he is a scientist who's been developing this kind of skin that allows you to like
Skincare.
basically,
Yeah, I'm listening. I'm listening.
He can kind of become anyone. Like he can look like
Oh.
anybody if
Okay.
he applies.
So
the
like Mission
special-
Impossible.
Yeah, like Ethan Hunt.
It is a
Effect.
mask forward. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
But Frances McDormand plays his love interest. And all the stuff that is cool about the Raimi Spider-Man movies starts here. What else?
Flatliners.
I tried again. I've never been able to get into this
Love
movie.
that movie. Love
this
that
is
movie.
The other
Love-
big Julia Roberts movie of
Right.
1990.
Also very important in her personal life.
That's right. Kiefer
Very.
Sutherland is the star.
Mhm.
Jason Patrick
Right.
appears in the movie, as does
Yeah.
Kevin Bacon
Just
and Oliver Platt.
Google old people magazines if you don't know what we're talking about.
Do you think My
Critical.
Blue Heaven is good?
I love it.
I love this movie too. It got kind of blown out of the water by Goodfellas because it's
I-
the same movie.
It is the same movie. Well, it's sort of like the sequel in
Yeah.
some ways about the, Henry Hill moving to the suburbs. But I've always been in love with this movie. I think Steve Martin is hilarious. Great Rick Moranis performance. Joan Cusack,
Mhm.
terrific in this movie. Written by your girl Nora
I know.
Ephron. Nora
Yeah.
Ephron sitting at home writing My Blue Heaven after her experience meeting Henry Hill because Nicholas Pileggi, her husband,
I
was
don't
getting to
even
know
think I knew
Henry
that.
Hill because of Goodfellas because he was writing Wise Guy.
Are they're together at this point?
Yes.
Okay.
That's the whole.
Good.
That's an amazing origin
is
that
good.
at the same time that's happening between the two of them. What a great creative household that must have been. Arachnophobia. Wouldn't you want to live that way?
He's laughing. It's not me. I don't have the giggles this time.
Would
It's not me.
you not want to live that way?
I would. I would.
Yeah.
I would love to be in a creative household like that.
Do you not feel like you are in one right now?
I like in this house or like in my
This
relationship
is
with
not
my
a
wife.
home.
There's nothing but creativity between me and my wife. Yeah,
I'll say
we throw around. It's a marketplace of ideas. Yeah,
it's great to hear.
Is that a tariff-free marketplace? So we're rolling those out there.
Yeah, it's American made. Both of us. Yeah.
I want to shout out Charles Burnett's To Sleep with Anger.
Awesome movie.
Great film with Danny Glover.
You a fan of The Grifters?
I quite like The Grifters. Stephen Frears.
That's a mother-son.
Okay, yeah.
Yes.
We have more of those, but I'm not really sure I like the portrayal.
That's where we stand at attention for Annette Bening movie, honestly. John Cusack, Angelica Houston, and Annette Bening as a bunch of con artists.
Mm-hmm.
Super fun movie. Blue Steel, Catherine Bigelow's
I'm well aware.
Drama about a female police officer played by Jamie Lee Curtis who's in too deep. Ron Silver, wildly upsetting in this film.
There's only one place for cops to be, and that's in too deep.
It's true. I don't think I had a cop who's just like, yeah, easygoing guy.
I don't want them to be in too deep, like in real life, but in movies, if they're not in too deep, I'm not interested.
Yeah. Speaking of in too deep, we had a double hit of Dennis Hopper directed thrillers this year. One is Backtrack, starring Jodie Foster. The other is The Hot Spot, starring Don Johnson, Virginia Madsen, and Jennifer Connelly.
We must mention the soundtrack to The Hot Spot was done by John Lee Hooker and Miles Davis and Taj Mahal.
The Hot Spot is highly recommended by yours truly.
Yeah.
There's
but you're not taking it.
I'm not taking it.
Okay.
I can keep going here. There's so many. I mean, Arachnophobia is a huge one. That was, to me, that's sort of like the Amblin movie that was not directed by Steven Spielberg. It's directed by Frank Marshall, his longtime producer. It's sort of like Jaws, but with spiders, like silly and exciting and kind of gnaws at your primal fear nerve. I'll take Mo Better Blues. I love Mo Better Blues.
Great pick.
Great pick.
I like Spike. Thank you. Any other? I thought about taking Life is Sweet, the Mike Leigh movie. I don't know if you guys have ever seen that one. With Jim Broadbent, Timothy Spall, Allison Steadman. Kind of like, this is a dumb way to say it, but like kind of his first like Mike Leigh movie. Not a TV movie for the BBC. His first movie, I think, with Dick Pope, his longtime cinematographer, who just passed away after they made Hard Truths. Thank you. And there's a lot of hard truths in Life is Sweet. So if people liked Hard Truths, they should seek that one out. I think it's on the Criterion channel right now. Any other?
I'll just throw out one that I watched actually last year at some point, which was Hidden Agenda, which is a Ken Loach kind of thriller.
Frances McDormand, right?
Frances McDormand and Brian Cox, which is incredible. There's a lot of other ones, though. I mean,
John Waters' Crybabies is this year. Akira Kurosawa's Dreams, which I just watched for the first time over the weekend, which is a fascinating movie about literally Akira Kurosawa remembering his dreams and writing them down and then putting them on screen. It's just 9 dreams that he had. Also features a performance by Martin Scorsese as Vincent Van Gogh.
Wow.
The movie was funded in part by Martin Scorsese and George Lucas, who wanted to patronize one of their heroes at the end of his career. Or maybe it was Coppola who may have paid for it. Anyway, the other movie is, we never, ever, ever talk about this because this filmmaker is not like a legendary international filmmaker, but this movie is beloved, which is Cinema Paradiso, which was a massive art house sensation at the time. I think has a long shelf life. Giuseppe Tornatore is the director, about a young boy who falls in love with going to the movies and the relationship that he has to going to the movies. That I think is a very divisive movie. Some people think it's very schmaltzy and very saccharine, sentimental. And some people who are like, this defines why movies are special. I think part of the reason why I never bring it up is I'm kind of like in the middle on it. But I'm sure that if we posted the episode, people would be like, where is Cinema Paradiso in your discussion of blah, blah, blah.
If we posted the episode, should we keep this one private?
I have to cut around my Christy Nome joke, I think, but otherwise I think we're going to be okay. Bob, do you have a favorite 1990 movie that was discussed here today?
Yeah, I mean, it's Goodfellas. It's like my favorite movie ever. Okay. I just watched that for my birthday a couple weeks ago. Just by myself, 11 p.m. It's so hard every time. It
still works. It's amazing. We sat in just for the beginning of it when we were screening it in
the end.
In
we
Boston.
Came back for the
end. Yeah.
We came back for Harry Nilsson.
When did you get up?
I think as soon as soon as Ray appeared?
When Ray Liotta comes in, we went and grabbed dinner.
Yeah, we watched all of Young Henry and then got dinner.
Okay.
I think that Scorsese's mom should have been in every single movie in the 90s with a different painting of two dogs.
Yeah.
I think that could have improved every single movie.
He says, "What do you want from me?"
Okay, let's recap our selections.
Okay.
Before we depart.
In drama, I had Miller's Crossing. In comedy, I had House Party. In action horror thriller, I took King of New York. In Oscar nominee, I took Goodfellas. In sequel, I took Exorcist 3. And in blockbuster, I took Days of Thunder. And in wildcard, I took The Cook, the Thief, His Wife, and Her Lover. Double Greenway for your boy. Not a lot of competition. Not a big race to pick Peter Greenway movies, but
good films.
Thanks.
Okay, Amanda, what did you get?
In drama, I took Postcards from the Edge. In comedy, Metropolitan. In action horror thriller, I have The Hunt for Red October. Thank you, Chris. In Oscar nominee, I have Pretty Woman. In sequel, Die Hard 2. In blockbuster, Presumed Innocent. And in wildcard, Mermaids.
Okay. In drama, I have Wild at Heart. In comedy, Home Alone. That'd be an interesting double feature. In action horror thriller, I have Misery. In Oscar nominee, I have Ghost. In sequel, Gremlins 2, The New Batch. In blockbuster, Total Recall. And in wildcard, Mo Better Blues. That just about does it.
Yeah. We haven't really been winning these. Like, there hasn't been a lot of...
We're all winners.
Post-competition.
When we get to see you, Chris.
Thanks.
Do you feel that your spirits have been meaningfully lifted here today?
My spirits were fine. You know, I think Rory put me in a weird spot. Man.
What do you mean?
I just think he he wore me out emotionally, you know?
Yeah, you were very tense.
I think it was like, I kept being like, what are we going to do collectively if he blows
You were threatening to quit watching golf.
Yes.
That was what you were saying.
Which is like, nobody would care. But like, I mean, I just think...
I would, because it's something we do together sometimes. What would you have done if Rory had lost? Just gone on with your day?
No, because I have to manage at least two, two out of the three other people in my home would have been truly devastated.
She would have truly been Glenn Close and the wife. She would have had to have brought back up her husband's spirits.
But is you saying that she is secretly the author of all of Zach's pieces?
All of his opinions about Rory McIlroy actually stemmed from Amanda.
I would have been sad, but I would have probably just immediately defaulted to Rory as such a cuck. I can't believe
you were like halfway there, and
I've watched him do it so many times.
Like, it was like after 18, before the playoff, you, Chris Ryan, were despondent. You, Sean Fennessey, were just like already yelling at him.
I'm just like, how can you do this to us again?
Yeah. It was like we sat here for almost 5 hours to get punched in the balls so hard would be really, really a weird way to spend.
It would have been one of the worst.
It was so humiliating until he actually made it happen.
Yeah.
But it was uncomfortable just sitting there in the room.
We also only ate chips for 4 hours, and
a variety of chips. Yeah,
like so much nicotine going through my body at that point. It was really unhealthy too. I think I put myself into a little bit of a coma.
Yeah. What was the flavor of those pretzel twists?
Seasoned. I watched your son eat one and have like a little bit of a moment with himself.
He immediately put it back in the bowl, so then I took it before it could like further contaminate.
Yeah, he didn't enjoy. Well, Bobby Wagner, good to see you. Thank you for your work on this episode.
Anytime.
Thank you to Jack Sanders. Thank you to all the listeners at home who are quietly voting to themselves, as they all did on November 8th back in 2024.
You're just really steering into it. Okay.
You know what? This week is going to get a lot better. It's because Ryan Coogler Sinners.
I think it was good. It was a good pod. You got me. It goes up from here, maybe, but you know.
No, I thought it was a good.
I think
hey, you both did great. You know, Bob did great. Jack, thank you. You guys did great.
When did this pod become everybody gets a fucking trophy pod? You guys are all too nice to each other about the results.
Good point.
Bring some meanness back.
You know, you gotta get to your 40s and then give me a call. That's all I'm gonna say. You know,
these moments are fleeting.
It's just things are
you
different.
Never know. You could be at Dulles Airport one day, and all of a sudden, John McClane.
Why is John McClane inside of my suitcase? Yeah. So Sinners is coming out. It's coming out. You can see it on 70mm IMAX if you live in one of the 5 cities where you can find those theaters. Otherwise, you'll just have to see it in a regular IMAX or projected on laser somewhere, or maybe just wait 3 months and watch it on your phone like a fucking asshole. Don't do that. See it when it comes out and then listen to the big picture.
I apologize to Steven Soderbergh for doing that.
Me, Amanda, and Van will talk about the movie, and I talked to Ryan Coogler for the film. So We'll see you on Friday.